Hello and welcome to another WatchPro original interview. And today it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to Simon Wolf, who is the founder and chief executive of Wolf, a specialist in watch winders and jewelry boxes, accessories, that sort of thing, and a real global player operating out of the UK and Los Angeles. So I think probably quite a good barometer for how things are going, because he's speaking to retailers all over the world and manufacturing in different parts of the world. So it's great to see you, Simon. And tell me how have things been going for you in the last few months?
Well, we all have our stories, and I'll just go straight into, I think, how we'd prepared for something like this, which is we weren't really prepared, but we'd done some things within the business to really help us through the last couple of months. And that was our strategy for delivering our product to consumers through retailers via online platforms. And that really has been, for us, the saving grace. We never really slowed down. Our 3 distribution centers, one in Hong Kong for Asia, one here in the UK, and the one in Los Angeles. We had the first week, 2 weeks where it was shut off pretty much entirely, but then it came back very quickly, and we found our online business has had some very healthy increases, very, very healthy.
It must have been a sort of a rolling series of challenges for you, starting with manufacturing issues. Then obviously the sort of global shutdown of brick and mortar retail as it swept through the world, and now trying to get distribution, or get product out to those retailers, and in the midst of all of that, you've missed the key launch events because Basel World was closed down, and a lot of other shows as well. So you've had a lot on your plate.
Yes, Basel was a great shame, and of course it was cancelled for COVID, and now it's gone away completely. Whether you think that's good, bad, or indifferent to it, it was a shame, because we always launch new product at Basel, so that was stifled, of course. You know, the 3 offices that we have and warehouses and distribution serve, you know, the market, the world together. And I think the fact that we could still be in contact with people via Zoom, which I'm not an expert, but I started doing Zoom calls very quickly. We have a weekly Zoom call with all of our folks, close to 45 people globally, every Wednesday, and it's kind of fun because there are some people that in Hong Kong, they're up at 12 o'clock at night in their pajamas, literally, and others bleary-eyed in the morning. So we're very much an international sort of organization. But the point is that we looked at the first week and the second week. I just looked at ways to save money. Frankly, I talked to everybody, whether it was a landlord, a trucking company, what have you. Our warehouse, our factory, which is ours in a partnership in Asia, it had already been closed because of the Chinese New Year, and then it didn't reopen because they were put into lockdown. So we carry very large stock inventory globally in the 3 warehouses. So I didn't worry too much about supply. It was just cutting costs because I didn't know how long this was going to go on for. And it really, from a sort of a business cost-saving exercise, it was a brilliant thing to do, because I looked at everything. I mean, we have an Amex bill in the US that runs into the hundreds of thousands, and I've looked at every single penny we spend there because I had the time to do it, and we've saved on all sorts of stuff that we were spending money on that we shouldn't have been. So it was, run first, find a way to save money, cut costs, negotiate with landlords, etc. And then it was, 2 weeks thereafter, well, actually, there's a business still happening. So how do we connect in a delicate manner, in a respectful manner with our consumers, so that we don't look like we're just running around trying to sell. And of course, we shut everything down, all of our social outreach and any newsletters that we emailed just basically came to a standstill whilst we all sat back and breathed and made sure everybody was safe. And of course, we then started working remotely. We put the whole company on remote, bought extra computers, screens, sent them to their homes. And it really proved to me that you can do it from home and still run a business.
Do you think that's something that'll continue for you? Do you think you'll become more of a distanced team?
Well, I'm a big proponent of trying to do whatever I can, and through all of the folks that work with me in my company, as much as we can do for the environment. And this has been amazing in Los Angeles. I have some folk that in the morning it's a 2-hour commute. That commute in the evening could be 2.5, maybe 3 hours if things go sideways on the 405 or the 10 going west or east. And they just aren't doing that commute. And the wear and tear on them, on their car, the savings of petrol, gas, as we call it in the States, is just phenomenal. And without a doubt, I'm a traditionalist. I felt like, everyone's got to be in the office and we've all got to be together, and it's much better that I can see everybody. But in each one of our offices, and they're all slightly different culturally, here in the UK, different culture from Hong Kong here into LA, but in their own way, all have adjusted, I want to say almost seamlessly, to working from home. And our efficiency has not gone down at all. In fact, I think there's an accountability that you have that when you're not in the office changes. It's on you now to fulfill the responsibilities that you have to do whatever it is you do for the company. So it's been an eye-opener, and we'll never go back. I mean, there's going to be a combination of working from home and being in the office, but it's been a real eye-opener. And I hate to say things will never be the same again, but they won't. They really won't be ever again the same.
Yeah, I mean, you talked earlier about, in some ways, being well prepared. I mean, nobody saw this coming. Nobody could possibly have seen it coming. But the company was well prepared in some ways. And I think something that I've noticed is that the values of a company have really come through in this crisis. So if you entered with great team morale, trust in each other, those types of sort of core values for a company, I think that they've served you well. I mean, certainly what we're doing here in the UK, where I've got 15 people all working from home on editorial or sales, I don't have to question whether they're at their desks and working. I know they are. They're talking to each other the whole time on WhatsApp. I can see the deals coming in. I can see the editorial going up, I think that's a great strength that good companies will take through this.
Yeah, I've always wanted to have a very strong culture in the company, and obviously a positive culture. I went to America at the ripe old age of 22, and when my dad, who's the 4th generation of the company, I'm the 5th. We decided that I knew enough, which I didn't. Go to America, see what you can do, kind of a thing. So my company, when I lived in Chicago for 4 years before I moved to Los Angeles, was my family. And the values that families have, taking care of each other, looking out for each other in sickness and in health, are so important. And they were then and they are now very much part of me and my family. Some of the folk in the company have been with me for over 20 years, and that helped a lot because and actually through Zoom calls, I could see a window into the connection of people that don't normally sit in the room together. It could be Ian, who runs a company here in the UK, connecting with Dottie, who's been with me over 20 years and handles accounts in the US. I didn't know they really talk that much, but then I found out that they play Scrabble online together. And there's all these little lovely connections of people that webbed everybody together. And it was really lovely for me to see on when you've got 45 people on a Zoom call on a big screen, you can kind of see everybody. You're flipping page to page, and they're interacting with each other in a way that, well, we don't fly everybody to one location at any point and have everybody in the room together. It's normally the salespeople that get to meet everybody globally, and those sorts of things, really heartened me and made me feel like, you know what, this wolf pack, as we call it, the family that we've created, can help each other to get through this out the other side, and it sort of sounds sort of obvious, but come out stronger. And just to talk a little bit about being prepared, the prepared side of our business was we'd always done online. I was, I think, ahead of the curve 20 years ago when I started doing business with Neiman Marcus online, and built a very nice business there. And they've had their recent troubles in the US and come out the other side of it already. But I just loved the fact that we could get these orders for consumers and deliver direct to Topeka, Kansas, or Aberdeen here up in Scotland, wherever it was, and that future-proofed us because that continued. That business continued. It did not stop for us.
And that's really the process of, I could go to a Neiman Marcus website, or I could go to a Watches Switzerland website, or many retailers. Perhaps the independent retailers are the better examples, where you're basically drop shipping. So they're selling product online that they've never had to buy and pay for in advance. They take a sale. You deal with the logistics and get it out to the customer, and the retail partner gets their cut. So that really was quite ahead of its time, although it's becoming a lot more common today.
Yeah, well, you say get their cut, they get the full retail.
Right.
I have the inventory, stock planning, the logistical side of it as well, but I'm happy to do it. We had a call recently with the folks from Watches of Switzerland, and their online business was very, very robust with us, and will only continue to improve. We're doing more videos. We have new campaigns that we're going to be, well, we would have launched, but put them all on ice. Now looking at maybe August to start really pushing things out there.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually listening to an interview with the head of McKinsey in the UK over lunch, and she was talking about the process that you've described going through as well, which is in weeks 1 and 2 you've got to cut everything as much as you can, renegotiate with suppliers, landlords, all that sort of thing. Make sure your team is all safe, and in your case, because you're a manufacturer as well, make sure that those supply chains are in place. But she says that there comes a point at which you've got to start doing things more normally, which is you've got to start demand generation. Now that might just be phoning your key accounts, but it might also be starting to fire up your marketing and new product launches and that sort of thing. So how close to that part of the rebuilding are you getting to?
Interesting, because good question. The moment that you feel comfortable to reach out to a customer and say, hey, do you want to do some business? Do you want to let's get something really, let's start thinking about, opening up that dialogue of you're going to need product, you're going to need newness, deliveries, filling in. And it was quite a difficult, it was difficult to time it correctly. With our online partners, we didn't stop, of course, communicating. But the more traditional retailers, like Watches of Switzerland or any of the independent retailers here in the UK, we just didn't really reach out at all because they weren't in their stores and they didn't want to hear from us. But in the last 2 weeks, we've really felt like it's now appropriate. It's appropriate to start having calls. And I deal with, I'll deal with any customer. I don't care, what kind of business we do with you. I love to talk to all of them. The last 2 weeks, I've had calls with our key retailers, the large ones internationally. They've all wanted to get on a Zoom call or get on Microsoft Teams or whatever they may have. And we have been so surprised by the business that we're getting from some of our key retailers where we build product for them. We do a co-brand or we do private label. So we have to work very far out in advance. We're actually getting our orders now every year we get our orders in May, June for September, October delivery. They've all come in at the same or a little bit more than last
Wow,
year.
great.
And I'm like, okay, so these are smart people, you know, smarter than me because they've got more stores and they do a lot more revenue. There's this, they're ready. They're open to having a call. As I said, I haven't been refused by anybody to jump on a call. And what we've seen in the orders coming through has been incredibly encouraging, really very encouraging.
So the expectation from those large accounts, I assume, is that whatever damage has been done in Q2, they were kind of okay in Q1, and they're expecting to be okay in Q3 and 4. And Q3 and 4 might be very much comparable to 2019 Q3 and 4 if you're talking about those large accounts. Is that the feeling that you're getting?
Absolutely, and of course their business is bunched up fourth quarter, so their business with us is a fourth quarter business primarily. They do a little bit in the spring, Mother's Day, but they see their fall business, their Christmas business being as good as it was in 2019. We look at it as if we've lost 3 months. So we've got to do 9 months worth of business, 12 months worth of business in 9 months. And we actually haven't adjusted our sales goals for the three companies, for the three regions. We just, we're going to push as hard as we can, push every button, and do the best we can to pull in the revenue that we've set for ourselves.
And when you talk about newness, how seasonal or trend-led are things like watch winders? I mean, I could imagine things changing over a long period of time. From, I don't know, leather is preferred or steel is preferred, industrial styles. But I wouldn't have thought it's something that would go out of fashion from spring, summer to autumn, winter. Or am I wrong?
No, you're right. And there's some lovely elements to our business, and there's a few little secrets to it. Which, if you think about it, anybody can work it out. You take how many watches are sold or made just in Switzerland alone, north of 20 million a year. You figure, probably 80% of those are automatic watch, mechanical watch. They're all watches. They all need a wolf. The numbers that you're looking at are a staggering amount of product that needs a wolf. Either a watch winder that counts turns per day, and we have the patent on that. We're the only ones that do it accurately, or a watch roll with the guards on it that stops watches from clanking into each other. And so the business has this elasticity to grow even further, even in greater numbers than I could ever imagine. Ask me the second part of your question again, because I just lost it.
Well, it was really just about whether stuff is trend led, and I was leading on to the fact that is that stock that's not been moving in Q1 is that going to have to be discounted? I don't suppose it does, really. No.
So we're not white dresses with pink polka dots. We're a thank you for bringing me back. The Viceroy collection has been with us for over a decade. It comes in a single with storage, double, triple, 4, 6, and 8. Apart from technological improvements over the last decade, like a lock-in cuff and different kind of configurations, it's basically stayed the same. And every year we sell more of them. Why is that? Because we're reaching more people, and we become better known as a brand. We haven't really changed the design at all. When we introduce a new collection like Access recently, which is the powder coat and the copper face-plated steel mesh cut collection, we thought, I'm going to do it in 2 colors. Isn't that just going to split sales? It didn't. It just bolted on because it's a new look, and it's not so contemporary or so out there, fashion forward that it won't live for a very, very long time. I mean, I design everything. I'm the head designer, and I have a team back in LA, and we all work together. But everything that I do, I have to look at and say, we can't be too trendy. Although you take something like a watch roll like this, the Memento Mori, that's pretty trendy, but it still has legs that will go for a very long time. Our manufacturing cycle is so long. It takes us at least a year to a year and a half to develop a new product. It takes us then another year to get it out into the market. And then it takes another year for us to actually get momentum to see how it's trending. So we just don't design anything that's too trendy, but we like to be cutting edge with materials that we use, treatments that we have. So we differentiate ourselves continuously. And this year, we have a new collection called British Racing Green in the Watchwinder collection. We're adding watch rolls to Roadster and Access that have the Access metal and the Roadster wood on the ends, as well as watch boxes. So, but they stay within a very traditional sort of element of someone's life. You don't take our Watchwinder out with you. You don't wear it on your wrist. You don't drive it. As a woman, you don't wear it as a handbag. So that's our challenge also in connecting with consumers, because I want them to have a connection, to our product, an emotional connection. But if you don't show it off or wear it, I have the challenge of making that happen. But the flip side of that is that it can sit and still look classic in 10 years' time. And that means the business just grows and grows, because there's 20 million watches being made in Switzerland every year, which is an exciting number. And that doesn't count the tens of millions that are made elsewhere that need a watch box, watch roller, or watch winder.
It's interesting hearing you, talk about that very slow, gradual, incremental development of the product and the long lead times. It was like I was talking to the chief executive of Rolex there, in terms of, let's not scare the horses with any new products here. Let's make sure we get full value out of everything. Let's not make anything obsolete too quickly. It seems to be a strategy that works well. And I guess in terms of being trend-led, you're probably more trend-led by interior design and how people want their houses to be, which does not move at a great pace as well.
Yeah, and half of our business, and a lot of people, we're speaking to the watch community here, but half of what I do, half of our revenue is generated from jewelry storage and care and travel. And 70% of our total units come from the jewelry box business that we do. It's where we started in 1834 as a company. So it's incredibly important. That has elements that are more fashion-led, embroidery or perfing or laser cutting that is through leather. But even that, I make sure we're not pushing the envelope too much. And every now and again, I get a little bit, come on, let's just do something. And even if we don't really sell anything, it's okay. It just shows what we can do. I want to show people that we build everything by hand. We've got our eye on fashion and trend, and we can be very different, very unique. But that really happens far more on the jewelry storage care side of our business than it does on the watch. But, as I said, a really cool case like this, if you like skulls, you're going to love this. It comes in black as well.
Well, you'll be excited to hear that if you want to get to jewelry people and watch people at the same time, we're combining our jewelry awards and our WatchPro awards this year. Sure. So you'll be in the company of both those industries.
That means twice as many people, I hope.
Well, it's in the same room, which was pretty full last year.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll try and squeeze in a few more people.
My bar tab will go up.
Well, that's that won't be a bad thing. They'll be worth every single person you meet there. I guess we'll finish looking forward a little further out to 2021, and the big question that you and I have spoken about many times is where you're going to exhibit next year. We don't know what the management team of Baselworld are talking about, consulting on a new show. I think that's quite a good development. I think it's positive that they're trying something, but I don't know how you feel about going back to the same people that were running Baselworld. I'll leave that. I won't put words in your mouth. Or the Geneva option, we're not hearing a lot out of Geneva at the moment about whether they will be taking other companies, and at the moment there are only about 35 companies due to show in Geneva. So there's an awful lot of businesses like yours that are looking for a major show where all the retailers and press are going to be.
Yeah, here again we're quite fortunate, because as a company we exhibit not only in the watch jewelry world of trade shows, but also home. In January and September, we have Maison Objet in Paris. It's a huge show for us and caters. Surprisingly, there's a lot of people from the watch industry, jewelry industry that actually go. So we do that show. Of course, we do in Orgenta. We have a showroom in Atlanta. We do CR in Mexico City. There are quite a few other shows that we're involved with. It is the best way for people to see what we do as a brand. We can put everything out. You can see how we like to present ourselves, big, bold, beautiful graphics, the color of the product. You can see every style because, unlike a watch, we take up a lot of space. I hope that the folks in Switzerland, pull it all together into one show. It just makes it simpler for me because they're expensive. They run to the hundreds of thousands for a company my size, and for larger companies with bigger footprints, you're talking millions. And I don't mind spending the money. I really don't. But the Swiss watch business is so important and so beautiful and so wonderful. They should really have one voice. And there's a lot of different folks involved, and dare I say, egos. We all have one. I have my own, and I have to keep it in check. But we just need that single place where we all come together and can share, can be together, can have a laugh, can have a drink, do business. I cannot reach all of my international distributors and agents. I have people in Armenia. I have people in Japan. I have South Korea. All over the world. It is the only time that I can pull them all together and see them and really have that one-on-one. Putting on a trade show is incredibly difficult. There are companies, and as we all know, that's all they do. So to lump it on, certain parts of the organization that put on Watches and Wonders and say, well, let's just expand it and make it bigger for everybody else. That's a huge ask. There's money to be made there, lots of money to be made in the exhibitor business and the trade show business. But I suppose I should end with, I hope everybody comes together so that we have a great platform to share the wonderful products, whether it's watches, jewelry. And of course, what I do is I take care of all jewelry and all watches. I don't compete with anybody. I just take care of those legacies of watches and jewelry and hope that I can be there and plant our little British flag in the ground and say hello to everybody.
Well, it's great to hear you doing so well, Simon, and congratulations, I suppose, for getting through in such relatively rude health. And I'm sure the second half of the year and 2021 are going to be spectacular for you.
Well, I hope so, and thanks, Rob, and to anybody who watches this. I hope you're all safe out there, families are safe, and we look forward to a great second half of the year.
Great, thanks, Simon. Speak soon.
All right, cheers, Rob. Bye. Bye. Bye.